Okay, let's go. And content. Live. And we're going to turn these on. And save. And we're live. Let me get the link up for you. Participants, copy the invite link. Oh, no. Participant. Invite. There we go. Copy the invitation. And close that. And we'll go over here to Stunt Hangar. The bench. Oh, we got 3 members awaiting approval. Hold on a second. I got to do this. And only one of them qualifies. Approve. The other 2 don't. I get these damn bots. Reject and send an email. Okay. Okay. Now. Okay. Back over here. We got to go to home. And at the bench. New topic. Monday night meeting. And paste. All right, the link has been posted in Stunt Hangar. I just can't be everywhere at once. Here we go. So Mondays and Friday nights, we have a meeting, and you're more than welcome to join. You got to be a member on Stunt Hangar. And whatever, come on in and give us a chat. Let's see here. We want to go. Got to get up the chat. And here. Oh, there we are. Daniel Berry Sports. Yo, happy Labor Day from Roy. Yeah, happy Labor Day. We're going to do this. I'll pop that open. Pop the chat out here. Pop out chat. I can hardly wait till my new glasses get here. Come on now, get over there. Damn, I can't do it. Oh well. That's why I don't see the chat, because you can't make it work. So you got to be in Stunt Hangar or in the Hangout here for me to really see the chat. So come on in. What I'm going to do until others get here is I'm going to work on this no-name airplane that I got going. This design, it's kind of a generic deal. Okay, I'll move it back half an inch more. half an inch more. You know what? I'm just going to leave it as is. Okay, so inch and a half. Remember, if nobody comes in, I'll just end the thing and that'll be it. Nobody gonna come in and talk to me tonight? Well, let's see how that works here. The link is on Stunt Hangar. I get so frustrated with this. There we go. Okay, so now it's cut out for the wing. There's Ruben.
Steven,
Oh, Steven. At least somebody come on.
how we doing, Spuggy?
All right.
So
Just
you run the show now.
what's that?
You're running the show again.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 7 o'clock Central
Okay.
Time.
Yeah, Central Time where you are. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock here.
Yeah. I can't
I
stay
was
awake
looking.
until midnight.
What's that?
I can't stay awake until midnight.
Yeah. Oh, I see. But I was looking to see who else was on.
Here comes John Miller.
Spread the word, spread the word, spread the news.
About what? Your contest?
Well, that's the good news. My contest, yeah. Um, that's almost like what people the word I'm getting from everybody about my contest now. It's like going to the Nats all over again. It's like almost going to the people say it's like going to the Nats again with the amount of competitors I have and the type of competitors. The contest keeps growing every single year, and I got that kind of competition now.
Well, that's good.
We're just missing you.
Ain't gonna happen. Too
Well,
far.
it's like I said, it's like going to the Nats, so it's just like revisiting the Nats all over again, only in Vegas.
My dad's no longer alive, so I have no reason to go there.
Terribly sorry about that, but that's a sad news. I was gonna bring up story number two.
Okay.
We lost another dear friend today in the control line world.
Who's that?
James Damerel,
Really?
Jimmy Damerel. I just heard word today. At 3:58, he had passed away. That's why I signed on earlier to see who was on and make sure we could all um give his wife and loved ones a blessing. Reach our hearts out to them. He was a great guy. I enjoyed him when I used to live back east in New Jersey, and I used to fly with him in New York, out in Flushing. And he was a good contributor to the Garden State Circle Burners in New Jersey.
I remember flying against him at the 95 Nats at Tri-Cities. He won advanced in that Nats. And
Yeah,
I think he got moved up to expert at that point. But he was a decent guy.
he was a really decent guy. He was a great guy, and I mean, he always had his hand out to helping people too. So he was a great guy. He helped me out. He helped me out a lot in my career of when I got out of scale and I got into stunt. He was a good mentor to me. We're getting started into flying stunt and seeing more what the pattern was like and how to actually do the pattern, what to look for. He helped me trim out airplanes, knew how to tune my motors out, and then I got into the big 60 size airplanes, and he started trimming those out for me, show me how to trim them, how to balance them, and how to fly them. Uh,
Yeah, he
he was a
was
great.
tough to fly against too.
Yeah, he was good. He was a good competitor. He was tough to fly against. He was a very good competitor.
It only made it more fun to be around him though.
Oh, sure. I mean, he used to come out to the Middlesex Modelers, and he would go out there. He went out to Brodax a bunch of times. He's always out. He always came out to Brodak, and he traveled even Virginia and other. places all around. I don't think there's a place he missed it. He didn't at least visit once for
Yeah.
a contest. The only one I couldn't get him to come out was over here. I wanted to get him to come out over here, but never could get him to do that. And now
Well,
it's probably too late.
yeah. It's like I don't know if I'll ever fly another competitive flight. I just get too much
Vertigo? Right?
vertigo.
Huh?
Get too much vertigo. Anything,
Vertigo.
yeah, fall
Are
over.
you coming out again this year?
I won't be able to. I
No?
just no, I don't even think I'll be able to. I haven't flown for several years, and
I didn't know if you were coming because Jim Rhodes is coming out, so I didn't know if you were coming out with him.
no, Jim's coming out. I think Roger's coming out with Jim.
Roger's coming out with him again?
Yeah,
Yeah, he came out with him last year because you couldn't make it. So he came out
right.
with Roger last year. So I didn't know if he was coming out with you this year, or Roger again.
No, I'm pretty sure Roger's planning on going. So
Mhm.
and he'll
Well,
probably travel
the,
with Jimmy.
the nice thing is the contest keeps growing. The contest keeps getting bigger. Especially since I call it Top Gun now. It got more people interested, and I get a lot of competitive people out. I got right now pre-entered already over 30, almost 35 entries.
Yeah, I saw the listing of the people who are already signed up. It's like
Yeah,
who's who in the stunt world, you know?
yeah, it's definitely who's who in the stunt world already. I mean, who's up there on the top? I got the top of them out there,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of that. That's a great accomplishment. It makes it a real fun contest because of that.
Well, it does. It's
It makes it a real fun
good
contest, and it
location.
started out as a local yokel thing, a few people, and you keep building it, and you keep working on it. It kept growing, and I'm happy to see that it accomplished that.
Well, you know, it's well run. You guys have done a great job of running it, setting it up. You paid attention to detail. The club there, the RC club that
Yep.
shares the site with you has done a great job with the food and with making the site available. And,
I
the
had to
site
work the
improvements.
I had to work the politics with that RC club to make
I know
them
you
work
did.
on my side. And now I got them on my side, so things work out well. And they actually do a lot for me because they have something to benefit from it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so that works good. But I had to work them. I had to work them strings.
Oh, yeah. I saw you do that.
You saw me. I had my ways of having to do it, but you know,
But
I
you
keep
know, the
working on it to build
improvements,
it and making something different every year.
yeah, the improvements that are made to the field, you know,
Well,
that's a big,
the thing is, you see, I learned something about it too, and I did that now is I want improvements on the field. So I tell them about what I want, but I don't actually advertise it about what I want. I tell them, here's a good thing what you guys should do for your RC and have this and so forth. So I make it their idea that it looks good for them. And if
yeah,
you get that done, I benefit from it because I could do this. So I make it work for both that way. And that's how I got a lot done on that field.
yeah, yeah.
That's why I started playing reverse psychology with them, telling them how great it's going to be if you do this. I knew what I wanted and what I was getting out of it, but here's how great it is for you. So when it was great for them and they wanted it then, and they bit big mouth and they kept talking about it because they have a larger group that they wanted it, then that it got done and I benefited from it because of what I got them to do
Well,
for their and then it was good for me.
I always thought they did a great job with the food. I mean, man,
Yeah,
it
the
was
food is great.
good. Yeah, and I'm sure that helped their club, you know.
Oh, their club was on the verge of going bankrupt and going under because of poor people that were running their club, and they were running out of money. So they were
Yeah.
coming to us to actually bail them out and help them out with money. And then I came up with my contest and told them how many people I was going to have the first year. And I told them, I want you guys to run the food and use supply the food, and all the profits and proceeds are all yours. I want nothing to do with it. It's all yours for your treasury. And I knew they needed money. And they made money on the first year, and they were so happy. They thanked me for the next 3 months. Thank you, because we made money. We made money. We made money. We're definitely going to do it again. And every year now, they're happy because they know they make money,
Yeah.
and they're good with it. So they don't burn my bridge anymore because they got something to benefit and they're making money on me. And I got them out of a jam when they were almost going under. Now they got a treasury account again.
Excellent. Well, it's that kind of work and cooperation between, I mean, we're all modelers, whether we fly RC or control line.
Right.
I mean, I'm much more in favor of control line than RC, but I've done both, and I understand, that. Hey, we're all modelers under the skin. So
I mean, I flew in back east. I flew a little bit of radio control because the guys said, "Oh yeah, try it." So I flew their airplanes. When I came out here, I had my control line, but these guys all said, "Yeah, you should fly them." So I got some radio control airplanes, and I flew them just to make the friendship and make the peace. I didn't like it though; it was too boring. I
well,
like the thrill of the control line a lot more because you have more adrenaline and more flowing through you with what you're doing with that airplane than you do holding a transmitter box. Really didn't have that adrenaline rush thrill to me.
precisely, you
So,
couldn't feel it.
right. You didn't feel it.
I
So I looked at, oh yeah, this is great. Yeah, okay, great.
I
20
like,
mistake, 20 mistakes high.
yeah, I like the fact that I like to compete. Okay. And so for me, control line precision aerobatics was perfect for me,
Yeah.
and I could compete in many places, smaller field, all that.
Yep.
And I found that in RC, for me at least, my experience was that it was how big your bank account was in many ways that determined whether you won or lost.
Yeah.
If you could afford the best of everything all the time, and then you had a much better chance. Not to say you couldn't, come out of left field and be super excellent and win. You could. It's just it was,
Sure.
yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. Wasn't as much fun.
Right. Well, I gotta go. Wife's calling me. I mean, I gotta go run downstairs. So let me see what she wants and I'll be
Oh,
back.
good to talk with you. If anything comes up where I can make it, I'll let you know.
Okay, very good. Okay.
See you now.
Yeah, married life now. This is what it's about. Okay.
Yes, I know.
Bye bye.
All right.
Well, we're by ourselves again.
So Sparky, what are you building now?
I don't know, generic airplane.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just
you use eighth inch or 332nd for your fuselage.
332nd.
I agree with you on that. What it's pretty thick airfoil. What percentage is that?
I don't know.
How thick is it at the thickest point?
It is. Come on now. I will just use this one. Two and a quarter.
And how long is it? Figuring the flap into it.
Figuring the flap into it.
Yeah.
11, so 12 and 3/4.
So you can roughly say you're a 1 to 12 ratio. Figure out what percentage that is. So you're probably in the neighborhood of. I'm not good at doing this in my head, but I'd say you're somewhere between 18 and 20 some odd percent.
Is that good or bad?
That's good. That's good. You're IC powered, so you can't. You're engine that's part of the controlling of your engine is the drag from the wing and the extra lift you get. So that's not bad. Gonna power it with a pipes engine or
Super
a
Tiger.
Super Tiger 60.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's a good combination for it. What's your hinge to hinge going to be on it? Do you know?
16 and a half.
16 and a half. That's a good figure to have. I kind of favor a little bit longer than that for myself, but Gordy gets on my case. Why are you making it so darn long? And I say, well, yeah, it's a tail volume, anyway.
Well, it's got a 10-inch nose moment, but it's actually 9 1/4 because I use a 3/4 inch shaft
Right.
extension. Plus the
Right.
tank gets back into the wing 2
Yeah.
and a half inches.
Yeah, you're moving the weight back, but you still got the moment arm with the prop.
Right.
It's a good way of doing it. You're gonna be jet look, bubble canopy, or what?
It'll look like an SV.
Okay,
It's got SV wingtips on it.
all right.
Leaning back.
Yeah, I like those. Those are aerodynamically a little better than going the other way.
I did the flaps. I just about got the wing done, but I need to get the thickness of this fuselage so that I can cut the wing. So I had to put this together.
Here's something for you to think about. I mean, you can do it if you want or not. But if you make the fuselage inside of the fuselage like 2 1/4 to 2 3/8 inch wide, gives you a little room that you can cant the tank and things like that. And it gives you a little more overall room inside the engine compartment to get things moved around and that in there. And it doesn't really create much extra weight, if any at all.
The only thing extra weight it would be is to add a shim on the side of the motor mount.
Well, that's it. Actually, what I've gotten to do is I have an inner fuselage framed up out of 3/32 with a little like a 32nd or 16th inch ply on both sides, and that fits in and has little formers that attach it to the outside skins. So you got a much stronger nose because it's all there's more area that it's spread out on.
Well, I could key it together. 3/16, that would be an 1/8 of an inch wider than I'm planning on. 2 1/4, it's going to be wide.
Well, it's your design, it's your plane, Just these are little options. Like on Gordy's Tony, that's got that was designed for Sato 82 or 81, whatever it was, which is a pretty big honking heavy engine. And we figured with the 4-stroke, there was going to be a lot of shaking going on up there. So that's where we came up with that inner fuselage taken and being tied to the outer fuselage and winding up giving us a stronger, stouter nose. And it is much stronger, stouter nose. It handles that big honking 4-stroke up there pretty easy.
Well, here's how I do mine. I take 1/8 inch doubler. I do it just like Randy does on his SV design, an 1/8 inch balsa doubler, and put carbon fiber between it, and then glue it on this.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's a good idea. It works.
Just looking to get a measurement now on is so I can cut the wing and get the wing finished off.
Gotcha.
This is how I design airplanes, just start building.
Well, that's the scratch builder part of it. I, I draw the plans up first because that's my version of doing what you're doing right now. Yeah. Just
There's
because I
my
have,
plan right there.
yeah, but I have the tools to put it on paper or on a digital format, just like you have with a pencil. And so, I'm doing the same thing. It's just that I'm creating the plan while I'm doing it and able to see possible problems a little in advance. I can plan for it. Both the end pretty much is about the same between, you know, it's like the first one is built, have to go through and just make sure that everything worked out right. Any changes, then you do any corrections needed.
The thing about doing it this way, how I'm doing it, is that when I'm done with this, it'll all lock together like a Lincoln log.
Yep. I understand. I try to do something similar myself.
The tank,
Oh, you don't have to go that far into there.
it's way back there.
Well, make sure you got enough room for your bell crank. That's the important part.
I got plenty.
All right.
Let's see if I can not make the mistake and screw this up. Well, I wonder who's going to come on tonight. I know Joe Gilbert's going to come on because he called me.
Well, Stuart's it, I hear. He doesn't have his video or his sound on, but I see the box up with his name on it. If he's talking, I can't hear him because he's muted.
Yeah, he usually takes his time getting in.
Talked to Marcel this afternoon or this morning on Messenger, and he's starting to get busy. They're starting to get into spring and construction coming up and work is coming in, and so he's getting ready for all of that. Knock it off, Doug. Hey, cool.
Well, Stuart, if you're trying to talk, you got your mic muted and your camera off.
There he is. Hi, Stuart.
Yeah, I don't know what I did there. I was trying to figure out how to turn things on and stuff. So, how's everybody?
I'm doing well.
Good.
How about you?
Okay. Gonna go flying tomorrow. So, gonna do a little bit of RC too with the control.
Cool.
So,
You got your Pathfinder? Is that what you're going to take out, or?
no, it's on the undetermined list about repair.
Oh,
I don't know if I'm gonna or not. It's I'm not even gonna look at it for another month, and then I'm gonna have Len take a look at it and see what he thinks.
yeah.
It's kind of broken up pretty good inside.
You really put her in, huh?
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
Well, it's not hard to build ribs for that because you just stack them.
Yeah, and I'm sure I could do it. I don't know. It's just I want him to look at it, see what he thinks. The biggest thing is when you get something like that is trying to get it 100% straight and
Yeah.
lined up.
Well, how bad's the fuselage on it and the tail feathers?
Or sorry, what's that?
How bad is the nose of the fuselage?
The nose wasn't bad. It's the wing area. It's all broken up.
The wings crumpled up. How about
Yeah.
the stab and elevator and
I think it was kind of okay. One of the flaps have been kind of the U-shaped part's been ripped out. So
shoot, you basically then the major building you need to do is just build another wing.
well, that could be too. But at that point, I think I'd rather build a new airplane. We'll see. Actually, I got one I'm gonna build this winter, the Dagger.
That
So,
I'm not familiar with that one.
and then I've got a Cardinal I'm gonna finish off here.
Profile or full body?
It's a profile. That's the one Len gave me a wing from another plane. I'm gonna build.
Gotcha.
I made the fuselage for it already.
Excellent.
Here
We'll
comes
see how it
Steve
goes.
Berry.
Yeah, I saw him there for a minute.
Yeah, there he is.
There he
Hey.
is. I
Hey,
see.
everybody. So I'd jump in, figured why not?
Why not? It's a holiday after all, you know?
Yep. Been attacking the grill all day, it seems. Hamburgers,
really?
hot dogs, many chickens have given their lives.
I tell you, they put up a battle, didn't they?
Yeah, but I won in the end, and my belly can attest to it.
All right. So how many people do you have over?
Let's see, it's me, my wife, our son, indirectly the twins. They're probably going to be born in about another 5 weeks or so, end of the month. Then mother-in-law, sister-in-law, nephew, and dog.
The
So,
dog got his share too, huh?
oh yeah.
Mine's that way too. I eat anything, he's right there demanding.
Yep.
So you've been flying much lately now, or were you flown out or what?
Ah,
No, haven't been flying here lately. Got a good set of lines together, recharge battery, all that kind of stuff, and it's just been so hot here in North Texas. I mean, we finally have a break from 100-degree heat now, and uh, actually kind of makes it to where you want to be outside and do stuff now.
Yeah. Is the wind blowing?
Oh, I'm sure it is. We've been dealing with some storms over the last couple of days, first in about a month.
Yeah. Well, we're coming into that nice part of the year between summer and winter, where we do get storms, but we do get the weather cools down and sometimes get some good days.
Let's see. Okay. This way you'll be able to kind of see what I'm working on over here. There it is.
Ah,
Magician. I'm putting together foam wing from Tom Dixon. Got it sheeted. Carbon fiber push rod. Didn't feel like having to build up the tips too much, so green foam.
why not?
Why not?
That's right.
You know,
Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to paint that with dope? What are you going to do to protect that green foam from the dope?
I've been looking it up, and I think what I may end up doing is thinking like 2 or 3 coats of polyacrylic and silk span. I mean, well, if not polyacrylic, then white glue, just to get a good hard shell on there.
Yeah.
And then polyacrylic over the whole thing. And finally, as weird as it sounds, and feel free to try to talk me out of it because I'm not sold on it yet. I haven't actually bought it. The spray on epoxy paint that you can get at Home Depot is like appliance paint, just base white, nothing major.
I won't try to talk you out of it. I want to see how it works.
I figure it's epoxy paint, and if I put it on thin and light enough, it'll work. And it's already going to be an electric plane, so not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be full blown fuel proof. Also been looking over a few little doodads I had 3D printed. A few years ago, I got a hold of a drawing for Joe Daly's handle. So
Yeah.
I did a 3D version of it and had it printed.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Hold that up a little closer to the. Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
How much does it weigh?
Um, that I don't actually know. It's made from selective laser sintering SLS PA12, which is a plastic. I don't recall the exact composition. I think it's a polypropylene, but this one happens to be glass filled.
Yeah. Now that fiber, where you got the holes there? Is that the same material?
Yeah, the whole thing is printed as one piece.
Wow. Oh, are you going to bush the holes so that you don't get a hard point to softer point?
Yeah,
Where?
that's more than likely what I'll end up doing. Just put some eyelets in there to help protect it. And of course, I
That-
already have the hole in there for the safety thong.
Yeah, I like it. That's the only thing I'd do to it is
Yeah,
bush those holes.
see, it fits in the hand really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's comfortable. It's lightweight. Another thing
You
that
know what
had
it
me,
weighs?
I don't have a scale, but if I had to guess, I would say 3 to 4 ounces. It's not real heavy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I got one that I'm going to be sending over to Mikey Pratt.
Oh, good old Mikey.
Yeah, he's going to be trying one out along with my updated 3D printed.
Oh, I'm glad to see somebody's picked up on that. I got some from Adam Eason, you know, and since he died, I was worried about who's going to pick him up.
Yeah, well, this, I saw the picture of one on Oki Air's website. It's like,
Yeah,
well, that should be pretty easy to do. So I went ahead and designed my own.
yeah.
It's
Well,
big enough.
the one that was on Oki Airs. That's Adam Eason's.
It
That's
probably,
Dave, the
it
one that
probably
died.
is. But this one, let's see if I can, uh, maybe this will be a good background for it. That gives sufficient contrast, sort of.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's got two patterns. One is a 19 by 25 and then a 25 by 25.
Gotcha,
And if you're
gotcha.
wondering, these little inserts, they're just little aluminum standoffs.
Uh-huh.
And then when you crank down the bolts onto the motor, that is what is taking the actual stress. You can crank it down
Right.
as much as you want, and you're not going to crush the plastic.
What 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 size spinner have you figured out for that one? 2 inch?
Nominally a 2 inch, although it can be changed up for almost anything. If you want like a little inset look, and I know it's crude. Here's my comparison motor has a 19 by 25, and it
Mhm.
just fits right in. I know it's very crude. That is a 2 inch spinner on there, so
Yeah. Now your motor will actually be behind the
yeah, so it
yeah,
would
like
be
that.
something kind of like
So you
that.
have you
And
have
you
an
had to align
angular
this.
ring around it. That's cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
And if you wanted to go with, say, a 1 3/4 inch spinner, it would kind of set in some. And one thing that I thought of, I was like, you know what? Everybody's always like, you got to make sure you score it, score the plastic or phenolic or whatever, so that epoxy, when you epoxy it in, it has something to grip. Let's see if I can show this. First, it
Oh, I
has,
see those little teeth, that kind of thing.
yeah, put little grooves in there.
Yeah.
And new on this one, I have
Little,
little indentations.
the one that Okier had, they had little tiny micro holes on
Yeah.
it. But what he did on his, he made it a little wider so that your side of your fuselage would come out somewhat a little beyond that, so you didn't have a hard edge there, a
Yeah.
stress riser.
Yeah.
And
see-
that's the
Get
only
this to,
difference.
let me see if I can get this to show properly. No, I do not have the wing anchored in yet,
Gotcha.
but oh, come on.
Look at that.
This is another version I had gotten. It's just gray.
Yeah. Now is that centered on the fuselage or is it offset to the side?
Oh, it's centered up.
Outstanding.
And then
Outstanding.
let's see. I don't know if you can quite tell here. I have doublers going over it and then just
Yeah.
nice and smooth. Now this was my first version, and you can see it just comes right
Yeah.
in. I had a little notch in there to help center it.
Gotcha. That's kind of how Oki Air's on the side, for a full fuselage.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
But
that where little notch.
While installing this one, it occurred to me that that's a bit of a pain to get it to set in just right. So on this other one, it's just kind of a blunt
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
So you still get the effect of the nose ring, a little bit of a cone, and
You could actually use that on a full fuselage or a profile, it looks like.
this is designed primarily as a profile mount,
Hmm.
but it wouldn't take very much to develop one to be for a full fuse.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
so it's all
so
it's printed out the same stuff as the handle, PA12 glass filled.
so you've got your own 3D printer?
I do have one. It's out of commission right now. It doesn't do this kind of printing though.
Oh.
It won't do this. This I actually had commissioned. Is done, I don't know, somewhere in China. Got it done dirt cheap, got it sent over, and here it is.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
question on the handle.
Yeah.
Is that actually fully solid, or is it still got, like, how they put air inside? Like,
Oh, it's solid.
okay.
The actual printing process.
So I didn't know. So you know how they put in some when they print, they kind of leave cavities of air in it, right?
Right. Right. With
I would-
this, they just they print a well, the plastic is kind of a powder. They spray a layer of binder, then they drop it, have more of the powder scraped over it, spray it again, drop, spread, spray, and just over and over and over, and it just gets stacked up
Okay.
inside the powder. And there's no need to have a whole bunch of cavities inside. You can. I've actually been looking into the possibility, just to satisfy my own curiosity, of having a 3D printed tank. The hard part is coming up with something that can actually withstand nitromethane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, it's almost like there's so many different ones out there available already.
Why bother?
Exactly, exactly. But with this, it's just a simple little hard point handle. It's lightweight.
That'll work.
I
Yeah,
like it. It looks like it might work just fine.
yeah. And if you're familiar with Joe Daly, at least the handle that he had a design of 10 years ago or something like that, somebody managed to do a CAD drawing of it, put it out there. I snagged it, and here it is.
Yeah.
Now,
That's a fancier handle that's 3D printed. It's perfect. It'll work.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah. And the main thing that I'm curious about is to how this is actually going to hold up.
Yeah.
I
Can't
don't
answer
know.
that.
Yeah, I don't know how it'll hold up to any kind of a shock factor. Like wind comes up, gets under the outboard wing, blows the plane across to the other side of the circle, and is loose on the lines the whole time, hits the end.
You
We
know,
all know, we've all been there. that's when you're really doing the pull test on the plane in a very unexpected manner. And I don't know how this would actually hold up. So it's
Pull test that rascal to 90 pounds and find out. If it's
Yeah.
90 pounds, it'll pull it out of your hand before you could ever fly it anyhow.
yeah.
There
That's
ain't a
kinda
human
what-
out there hang on to 90 pounds.
Yeah. So
Gordy could.
Not now.
No, not now.
So basically, this is one of my prototypes, and like I said, Mikey Pratt's going to be getting the other one. It's just like this. He's going to try it out. I would be real tempted to try this on half A first, half A and some of the smaller ones just to see. That way, heaven forbid something happens, you're not out. You're a big PA stunner. You're out a little half A trainer or something. It's like, okay, a weekend's work. Not a big deal. Not 400, 500 hours, and who knows how many thousands of dollars. So
Well, that's a good point. I look at it and I'm very familiar with the Fancher hand lights. That's what I use.
Me too.
It is extremely light.
Hold
it's
on a
not
second,
so
guys. Hey, Joe, give me a call, will you, so I can find my phone?
Okay, we'll do.
I can,
light. It's not the lightest handle out there, but it's very dang close to the lightest hand. What I like on that is the insets, the steel insets for the hookups. And I like the way they continue that, so you can actually get smaller.
Thanks.
So you get actually smaller than you can with the Joe Daly. That's it only goes aside. So I would look if you just want any advice for free, which is exactly what it's worth. Consider going that route, at least on one of your mock-ups as you test it. And I know where you probably could talk to them and get a couple sets of those steel units to bolt in like that. And that's my friend Brent Williams. He's the one that sells the Fancher handles. So, you can talk to him anyway. He may sell you a set of those metal things that you can play with. Because that you get rid of the problem of having to bush them. It's thinner up there, so it's easier to get your connector in there, things like that. I like the handle. I like it a lot. That's just looking at it from here and not heft it and feel it and that. That's the only things I see that I might think that I might maybe. What do you think, Joe?
I think it's the wear factor inside the hose.
yeah.
How much can the hose stand? The wear factor on that hose. I mean, I would hook up a set of lines to that booger and I'd jerk test it till I broke the lines. If I broke the lines, I know I'm golden, dude.
I'm worried about the wear with the softer material.
I do, but if you jerk that and jerk that and jerk that and broke your lines, if you broke the lines first, that plastic's going to hold up a long time.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Now, one other thing that could be done, one of the materials that's out there is it's like a 3D printed rubber. It's called, I think, TPU. There's no reason why you couldn't have the base of this, the center core, say laser cut, and then get a rubbery handle that fits it perfectly, made out of the same CAD file, and then you just epoxy it on, and there you go. You have a nice soft cushion with a strong metal core.
I think you're onto something right there.
Yep. You could do that. That would be a direction I would look at.
Yes,
and for
I
something
agree.
like that, I could even get this down to 18 gauge galvanized steel.
You don't need to go galvanized. You can go 10-20.
Yeah. Listen to John. He's right. That metal on, there's not an airplane out there you can fly that pulls 20 pounds. You can't fly an airplane pulling 20 pounds. Not gracefully, not excellently, but the jerk tension, like you talked about, is a factor.
Yeah. Because, I wouldn't want it to, come across and snap off the handle where it doesn't affect the plane. It just snaps the handle.
Let me tell you something. If it goes flying across the circle, jerking the handle out of your hand ain't going to be a problem because it's going to be a crash, no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. Reminds me of one of the more spectacular ones that I had years ago. It was an old Sterling Mustang flying in too high a wind, got under it, and that thing cut across a circle and did a barrel roll about 10 feet above my head before it finally got to the other side and crashed. It was
I
spectacular.
saw that happen today, but no barrel roll with one of the grandkids today. It hit the ground, but it survived the jerk. But yes, that handle's got merit, y'all. Do some thinking on that. But if a guy flies 20 times a year, that handle lasts a long time. But you start flying 100 times a year or 500 times a year, that the wear mark on that hoe is what's going to happen. And you think that's true, John?
Yes,
Yep.
I did.
Yeah. Now,
That's going to be the factor.
now here's the kicker. I can have this 3D printed for about $7.80 each.
That's cheap enough, but
That's cheap enough.
How many do
the
you have
problem
to buy?
is it
Hmm?
goes back to again.
How
the
many do
wear
you have to
factor.
buy?
One, same
One.
price. They don't care. It's the same price if it's 1 or 100.
Shipping's $300.
No.
Yeah, shipping.
You're on to something, young man, but you still got to prove that wear mark on the hoe.
Yeah.
You put a metal clip in there and you work it 5,000 times and you pull it at 7 pounds while you do it all the time. How long is it going to take to wear out? I don't know that.
How about just put a piece of copper in there and then put a taper on each
And
side?
replace the copper every 500 flights if you had to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Or with it being, less than $8 each, just replace
throw it
the
away
handle.
after 200 flights. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
show them that motor mount you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Dennis is the one to show that to.
Yeah,
That's the real deal right there. That'll work.
that's
Yep.
for a profile.
Yes.
Yeah, it's for a profile, but it can very easily be adapted for a full fuse design.
That's
You
right.
can even have the entire crutch printed as a single piece if you so chose to.
How much does that piece weigh?
I don't have a scale, but I could calc it out pretty easily.
Quarter
At a
ounce.
guess, at a guess, I'd say maybe a half ounce.
That'd be
that
max.
was I think it's a little less than that.
And really, most of the weight is right here in this little conical section. You cut that off, which I could have done as a production unit where it's just this the flat with a little U bracket. That'd probably cut it down to quarter ounce or so.
There's some merit there, y'all. Put that motor that you have to build the crutch around that, just like you build a PA crutch. You just get your engine, put it in there, and build around it. That's no big deal.
Yeah.
And it's,
That'll work.
And it's the same stuff. That's the handle. I believe it's PA12 glass filled. So one very cool thing about the handle, it does not have a super smooth surface. As if you can actually see that right in here, it's ever so slightly a non-slip grip because of the finish of it. So it's not quite as likely to want to slip right out of your hand. You know how sometimes you want to put grip tape on your handle? Well, this doesn't need it.
Steve, I'd like to. I'm working on a electric profile PA ship, and I've been working on the motor box and battery box setup on it, and I'd like to get in touch with you. I'd like to show you what I've got and see if there's a possibility. I don't have the 3D capabilities to design it in 3D in an STL file, but have you take a look at it and see what you think, and if there's a possibility. I'd like to get one built or printed that I could try out on a prototype, see how it's going to work. And if it does work out, then I put a bill of materials on my plans. I list where to get parts, and And, that way I can put it on there and say, get hold, this part is available from this guy,
Right.
And, anyway,
No.
figure out how to get in touch with you, I guess
Okay, I'm on Stun Hangar,
okay.
so
And as Steve Berry, right?
yeah. And I'm actually, I guess, one of the admins on the open forum.
Yeah,
All right,
So you can just go there, admin, click my name, and it's got all my contact information right there.
gotcha, I'll do that.
And that way I'm not putting out
Yeah.
email or phone number on
Yeah.
this so that somebody in India can
Right.
start
Right.
spamming me.
Absolutely.
I'd really like to see if it's possible to come up with a unit. It's based on Denny's design, Denny Adamison's design.
Mhm.
It's all done with light ply and balsa, and it's plenty good. It's a great idea he has there. But I think it could be done as a printed unit, because once you once you got it set up, I'm actually looking at possibly rear mounting the motor rather than front mounting it, because just some structural thing. But anyway, given the option where I can do it either way.
That would be easy. You remove the front cone, remove this crossbar, and you just thicken these up some. And then
Right.
there you go. Put in, fuselage going this way. And there you go. Now you can rear mount your motor.
Yeah.
And it would look, forgive the crudeness of it, but kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Ruben McBride was on earlier today, and he made an announcement. Did you guys see that?
I did not.
Jim Damarel passed away.
Oh no, is that
Yeah.
right? That's too bad. Darn it.
I think he said around 3 o'clock today.
Oh my goodness. I like Jimmy.
Jimmy was a good guy.
Yes, he was. You hear that, Colleen? I did. That's too bad.
We're getting that age, Joe.
Oh, dang it, Bobby. I don't want to admit it, but it's true.
I got all this, it shows me,
Oh, I'm thinking about, I'm still an IC dude. John, I do IC engines. I got lots of them. But I'm thinking I'm going to build an electric airplane. And I'm going to call it Sellout 2.0. Dang it.
How can I mean, I love the sound and the feel and the smell of the IC.
Oh,
But
son.
I've come to the conclusion that electric's here to stay, and it's going to be hard to beat as it goes along.
In my opinion, I didn't go behind the judges like Sparky did and film 300 flights, but I watched a lot of flights. And let me tell you this, there was no Shark gas engines in the top 15 at the Worlds.
Yep.
And you could see, I could see not all the electric motors are created equal, but during that turn, they had the drive. See, I've used nitro for years. I'm a nitro freak, man. Nitro gives you that turn, that drive to make that turn sharp. Doug Moon had some kind of a wave pipe, Frank McMillan thing.
That's a full wave flight.
Yeah,
That
full wave flight
that right there, I watched it fly 3 flights, and that is the best. Period. Dot. Capital. Question mark. Exclamation mark. You want to call it? It's the best IC engine run I ever saw in my life, bar none. It's for real, dude.
Yeah, it's funny you should bring him. It's funny you should bring up Doug. He's right here in Dallas.
Doug. I know Doug and Steve and Jake. I know all of them.
Yeah,
super well. But dude, that pipe that Doug ran on that bear, that was superior to anything I have. And I've got as good a running road jet engines in America, bar none, as good as any of them. But that thing was better than mine. I could see it with my eyes. I'd like to get my hands on one of those pipes and play with it a little
Well,
bit.
and if you go to the twin revolution,
Oh,
with what's happening with twins, I'll tell you, unless you're dyed in the wool motorhead and love to fiddle with motors and don't care what all the time, electric's the only way to go with multi-engines as far as I'm concerned.
Frank
Yeah.
McMillan years ago, I say years, 5 or 6 years ago at Houston contest, whatever weekend it was, we were all, a bunch of us were there. And Frank whooped us all with the retractable geared twin engine airplane that Bobby Hunt designed thing.
Yeah,
And wasn't Crossfire.
No, it's a twin
double
engine.
cross or
I don't know what it was. Whatever Bobby
Big
had.
wind.
That
Second
dude-
wind.
That dude was awesome, dude. And there's something to a twin. You got more disc area pulling. Your nose are shorter to the CG. There's several things going on there that's beneficial.
plus you got your spiral slipstream is now gone from the fuselage. It's out.
It's
Or
out.
is it-
Well, you can do
it-
both ways. See which one you think's will work. I don't know which one works the best, but oh,
One each way.
the electric motor. Okay, let's just say you got the perfect piped engine running 10,700. It can only make 10,700 adjustments a minute. How fast can electrics work? I
Well,
don't know the
10
answer,
times
but I think a multiple times 100 might be a fair statement.
There's 14
Right.
pulses each revolution.
Yes, so times 60
Right.
per second. So it's more. It's more, y'all. If you got an 18 magnet motor, that goes up even more. That's above my pay scale, but you can see it at the world's plainest day.
It's funny you
can
should
see
be
it
mentioning.
plainest day.
It's funny you should be mentioning the twins, since my wife and I are expecting twins run in
Oh boy,
or so.
bless you.
Yes, and
Congratulations.
thank you. Still, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but I'm 48,
Are
so
they boys or girls?
one of each. One boy, one girl.
Oh my
Fraternal
goodness.
twins. All right.
Yes.
You need to sell a lot of handles.
A
Yes,
lot of
I
it.
do. But I almost feel like because of that, I'm going to be obligated to try an electric twin at some point. In which case, I think I have one in mind that I have not seen too much of. I think it'd be pretty cool, but there may be a reason why nobody builds a model of it. And that's the OV10 Bronco.
Push
The
pull.
only
High
drawback
CG,
that has is that high tail.
CG,
Mhm.
high CG, man.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
I have a design for it. I don't know how to overcome that ICG. You know, how can I put more weight up top to kind of balance it out? And
You don't want to add weight. You want to take weight away
well,
from
okay, I should say shift weight from bottom to top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of at a loss on that.
Well, you can make it a cartoon OV10 by shifting things around just a little bit, getting it a little, I mean, it'll still look like an OV10 to everybody except a scale flyer.
Yeah, I could. And I was also thinking for something like that, since the center fuselage wouldn't really be anything more than just for looks, that green foam.
Yep, that's true.
I wouldn't have to worry about trying to source some 3.5 or 4 pound balsa when I have 1.5 pound foam.
Oh, I forgot to mention, if you're gonna use that dope over that green foam, forget polyacrylic, forget white glue, forget all that crap. Get some Z-epoxy and put it on there.
That's probably right.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
The other stuff will melt it.
Yeah. I have a twin that I drew up years ago. I've flown about 3 or 4 different types of twins. I've got anyway. But so I have a little experience in twins, not much, but I was involved with Gordy's little twin Pathfinder. It kind of the precursor of the revolution for Bob Hunt. And he flew that, and that's when he says, I'm going to go home and draw up my own twin. And he did a good job and come up with a good design. But anyway, get back to the twin that I drew up, just because I wanted to try it. has twin booms, but it has a front engine and a rear engine. It's a push me, pull me. And it, as electric, I can have one engine go one way and the other engine go the other way. And the high tail isn't too bad, the higher tail. Though I didn't put it as high as like an OV10, it is up there a bit, but that's more doable with that. It came out a good looking one. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll see if I can find the PDF of that, and I'll show it to you in a little bit if you guys want to see it. You want me to find it and go see it?
Sure.
Okay.
Look at it. A Piper Aerostar. A Piper Aerostar. That'd be a center line, everything almost. Crossfire wing, twin. Tricycle gear. That baby, it's a center fuselage mounted airplane. Engine center line, tail center line. The wing would be a little bigger than a stock Piper Aerostar, but a crossfire wing would get you there. Bobby's airplane will fly. That one, he's designed 3 or 4 of them. I don't know. Remember Rick and Sarah Huff? Rick had a 57 Chevy looking twin. You ever seen it fly around anywhere?
Yeah.
I know.
That sucker, it had engines that worked up and down with the elevator. He controlled it where the engines would rotate too if he wanted to.
So directional thrust?
Yes.
Yeah.
On a
And
twin,
it really
baby.
had a
That boy had
a heck
some
of a corner.
stuff, dude. You just
It
check
had
out Rick Huff. That boy ain't no dumber. I guarantee you.
That thing had a corner that was not to be believed. It turned sharp.
But more importantly, you got to get to expert level with something first before you worry about that last 5%. I can attest that last 5% is really hard to get.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure I'm right.
When are you gonna get it?
I'd like to, you tell me how to do it and I'll do it.
Hello, you have food order?
Daryl McComb, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Does anybody have any experience with Pat Johnston's GBR2 design that he did back in the 90s?
I don't.
Hmm.
I don't think I've ever even seen it.
I only remember seeing one of them fly. It was it Jim Lee? Had one, or I think it was Jim Lee. He had one with FP40 and it flew really well.
Yeah, that's it's one of the planes that's on my someday list, just because I've always liked the GB.
You need to get some really light balsa for those giant wheel pants.
Yeah,
These wheel pants just weighed nothing. I was stunned how little they weighed. And they were beautiful. Just a little FP40 pulling that thing around.
well, for something like that, it might be worth it to maybe mold it, like
They
mold
could.
the wheel pants.
Yeah, I would have thought he'd put a 46 in it or something like that. And no, 40 pulls it fine, and it did. I watched him fly it. It flew it just fine. But you go pick the airplane up, and I don't know what it weighed, but it was sub 40.
Sparky, could you turn the sharing on?
That's a huge airplane for sub 40 ounces. Jim did one whale of a job on that one.
Well, if you're talking about the red and white one he flew at the Nats, it had a 60 in it. It had an Evo 60 in it. The big round fuselage one he had at the Nats.
Yeah, he had it at the Nats, and it was a big round fuselage. But when I talked to him, it was
Evo
FP40.
60.
Oh well,
Yes.
okay.
The one I'm talking about is a big profile one that was
Oh, look at
in
that.
model aviation. Oh wow,
Their profile.
nice.
Yeah, that was done originally for an IC, but and now I wouldn't put an IC in there. I'd put electrics in it.
That'd be a really nice push me pull you.
That's what I thought it would be, Has some
That,
nice
that does look really nice.
It's called Bad Attitude.
Oh, well, then there's only one brand of electric motor that would go in it.
Yeah,
That's correct.
Yeah. That I like the wing on it. I could make it a worn truss if I want to, but I like the airfoil. But yet it's a good airfoil. It's good. It's an Epler.
You know what's wrong with
269.
that, John? There's
What?
one thing wrong with that. It ain't my hangar, so I can fly it.
Thank you there.
That's the only thing wrong with that. It's not my house where I could fly it. Put some badass
Yeah.
engines on that electric and I'll fly the pee out of it.
It's a good looking plane.
I think it'd fly good,
Promise you that looks like a Raby airfoil. That's all good.
Yeah, it's actually an Epler 269, I believe.
There's nothing
It's a
wrong with
good
that.
airfoil. Nothing wrong with that airfoil.
Nothing wrong
And
with that at all.
And it's got all the things that I like. It's a twin, and it's got twin booms, and it's
What
a
do you got
tri-gear.
for? Is the elevator's an inch above the center line? Maybe
Well,
2
the center
inches
line
above.
is staggered between the two.
That is staggered. It's about halfway between there. So I bet
Yeah.
you got all that doesn't make probably too much difference when you're flying in the grand scheme of things.
No,
That
and I have a new belt crank that I've come up with, new system that so I can run one push rod down this side and the other push rod down the other side.
do
It's
you
got
need
plenty
to?
No, you don't need to if you put a good
If
like
you
a
if you
carbon
put a
fiber.
carbon shaft on the leading edge of that, it won't never twist, John.
I know that. And
What size motors would that be?
pardon?
What size motors?
Pair
25s?
of 15s. Pair of 15s.
Okay, a pair of 15s.
Magnum 15s. So it's
That's
probably
gotta
about
have
600.
That's gotta have a 28% tail. That's a
Oh, yeah.
huge elevator.
Well, the whole idea is to give you something to work with. 56-inch span,
5.9, 6.3.
590.
That needs to be electric and be done with it.
Yeah. But the electric hadn't proved itself when I drew this.
I got you.
Okay. So I stayed away from electric, but now I'm all for it.
How come it's named after Paul Walker's airplane?
I don't know. I didn't even think of that. I just thought it just looks like it has a bad attitude,
I'd call it just because.
Just because, huh?
Just because.
There's a song about that.
That might be just because I'm going to beat your butt with that. That's what I'd call it.
I could do like the Begin did with a couple of music staff and a couple of notes at the beginning of the Begin.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, just because.
We got the talking part done.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's it. Now, let me put you over and show you the wing a little closer. Oh, come on.
I'm quite
Oh,
certain.
I can't do that on oh yes, I can too.
Hey, you can just zoom out a little bit, or
There we go.
Oh, you go.
So the wing has got the kind of wingtips I like. I built these up like that because I've done it in the past and it worked out good.
Holy mackerel, that's a big elevator. Holy mackerel.
Well,
That's got to be 30%.
it probably is. I could probably tell you if I took the
It
measurements.
doesn't matter. You
I
build
think-
that rascal. I'll come and get it, fly it for you.
Well, now you got me going on it again. Son of a gun.
Holy cow. Look at
I
that
was
big
thinking-
elevator, y'all. That sucker's going to turn and lock, boy.
Oh yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Oh yeah. it should be a fun, airplane to fly and might be surprising.
Oh,
Yeah.
they won't be surprising to me. That rascal, I can make that work. I'm
Yeah.
certain of it, John. What's wrong with it? What's out of line? You got
The
a
only
huge
thing
elevator, a
the
nice
only
wing.
reason that the rear engine was set up higher like that was to make sure in a takeoff where you've got a rapid angle of departure,
Right.
that I didn't want to scuff the tips of that prop.
Yeah, but you could put that center line and if you run a 15s, run a 9, whatever prop you need, 9-inch.
Yeah.
It don't take much angle attack to get airborne.
No, well, this is a 9-inch prop on the front, so that gives you the idea about
Right.
how high it would be. But
Yeah,
Right there.
that almost looks like the Netzer Band Humbug.
it's
In its
related to
proportions.
it.
I got a humbug out in the garage, y'all.
About
I was a
about
good
the
I've
only,
got
friend
a
of
pair
I
of
was
them.
a
I've
good
got a
friend of
pair of
Wild
them.
Bill, and I really liked his little humbug. And I
About
think
the
at the
only
time I
thing
did
that
this,
would-
I kind of liked the idea of the bigger stabbing elevator.
yeah. About the only thing that I would change, and it's just my own personal preference, I like to make the tips of the stabilizer and elevator match the
Yeah,
wing tips.
The shape.
Yeah,
yeah.
I like to have it matching. I just take that, scale it down, and drop it on. My own personal preference.
Just
That-
sand
I
it the way you
understand.
want it on that. Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, but
I don't believe it.
that
Hurt a
looks
thing.
good. That really does look good.
Well, thank you. Now,
what
now maybe I'll
elevator?
say
What
what?
hinge line? What hinge line to hinge line is that? You think? What's your
let me-
best guess? Flap hinge to elevator hinge.
I'd
You
say
looking at 17, 18 inches?
somewhere in that area, I think. Let me see if I can get it to do this.
Tell you what, the controls on that would be a booger to put together since you basically have 4 flaps.
17 and a half. See,
Yep.
That's not bad.
that's in the game.
Yeah.
I'd just run all the controls. I'd probably put the bell crank. You got it in the right wing. That's right. I put the bell crank in the right wing and run everything down the right elevator. Put a 8mm rod on the leading edge of the elevator and run it all through that. It'd never twist.
No, that'd be pretty tough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be pretty tough. And I could get the wing ribs laser cut.
Yeah, that John, you really, 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 really ought to think about that. I can't. There's no downside to that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Joe.
Airplane.
You could
I
do the
thought
same.
There's a single engine version of it, but the tail just goes back and that's my parts file where I've got all the parts.
I don't
parts
know
of it.
that 2 engines on center line like that. I'm not educated to tell you what the wind flow would be from one going left and right and all that. I don't know that. I can't tell you what that would do. It'd
Well,
be
you're
so
gonna
interesting
have-
it'd be interesting to put only the rear engine and leave the front for the battery. Then you'd have all your CG and prop motions behind the CG. There's
Yeah.
things to think about there. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that, but that's not a bad idea, Joe.
Yeah.
You get all your
the-
center.
the
The
thing-
thrust is on the center of your airplane, kind of. I wish I'm not smart enough to give you a good opinion of that, but when you get
Yeah.
propellers and thrust and torque and asymmetrical, all that stuff going on tethered flight, it causes lots of troubles. And having that rear engine puts that all behind that issue. I don't know.
Well,
It's something to look at.
You would
I'm trying to
definitely
think what would
need-
happen with the yaw, as you make a turn. Okay, with a counterclockwise rotation, our normal rotation on front, you turn down, it wants to yaw in at you.
That's right.
If you're here and you're now doing clockwise rotation down here, what happens to the yaw generated back here?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Gotta build it and find out.
There'd be
Yeah,
some
that's
stuff going on there.
I think I'd build it and put one of them turning to the left and one to the right, so they both be turning the same way. And let
Well,
that, try that one time.
let's see. That one going that way, that one going.
Makes your brain hurt, doesn't it, John?
Does, you know, I like the idea of the canceling out the torque, the rotational torque, the P
Yeah, but-
factor.
But how much
But-
thrust are you gonna lose?
I don't think you're gonna lose any thrust. I think you're gonna get some combined thrust issues. You are gonna be going against accelerated air at this point.
That- you know, but you say that, but when you're flying level at 55 mile an hour, that all the air is about the same speed, y'all. It's not, you don't got extra air going through the prop area. It's going the same speed as the tip air.
That's true.
There's not much slippage on a prop.
You could play with it with prop diameters. I'll come back here.
Oh, that's an interesting concept. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
I've got a a humbug out in the garage with a little, maybe it's a Fox 19 on it, looks like a Fox 35, but little bitty engine. That
Yeah.
airplane does some things scary good, but it slows down in corners pretty hard. I don't know if that's the big elevators. There's stuff going on there I don't understand for sure.
With this one, I would almost be concerned with it stalling out really, really quick. You know, like a ringmaster. If you over control it just a little too much, you'll just flip and stall in the air and then kind of waller
Well,
around and turn.
I
Uh-huh.
usually have pretty slow controls. For instance, my maximum throw on my flap is about in the 20 to 26 degrees. And
Okay.
my maximum throw on the elevator is in the 30, 32 degrees, something like that. And I seldom ever use full handle throw. So I'm probably using like 10 to 12 degrees of flap and maybe 15 to 20 degrees.
17 probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's interesting.
Well, I appreciate the discussion because you brought up some things. Now I'm getting an itch. I'll have to finish up some of the projects I got going and finish this one up.
The
I just
electric's the way. That's electric airplane, John, hands down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the
Yeah.
battery
No
would need to be in the nose. That's it. You put the battery in the nose, that should cancel out any kind of balance issues.
Yeah, I think the
Move
battery
where you
could be
need-
right there.
I
Yeah.
agree. Absolutely. The two booms, and they need to be strong. They don't need to twist or flex, but they need to be the size they need to be. And I don't know that you're too far off right there. If it looks good, it ought to fly good. Dude, that
Yeah.
airplane looks like it's right.
Yeah, it
Well,
does.
thank you.
It does.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
I like
And,
big elevators. Big
yeah,
elevators stop and start, John. You know that well as anybody.
Yeah.
Now, what you were talking about for having like an 8mm tube in the elevator,
Yeah.
so that you can control it from one side, don't have to worry about twisting or anything. Pretty much do the same thing for the flaps, to where you basically build it as just two flaps, and they just have a notch in them. But you would
That's
have,
what Howard Rush does.
yeah.
He should
That
be
way you
on.
don't have that way you don't have to have three joiners on there. You just have the one, just like any other plane. And you'd have the tube in the front, and that tube would just go from root out to tip.
and
and you
drive
just-
it wherever you want to drive it. Drive it inside or outside the boom. It wouldn't matter.
Well, there's
Right.
this setup, this bell crank I've worked up will allow me to adjust the flap throw quite easily and also adjust for any misalignment on the flap so I don't have to tweak anything. There's no joiner. The way doing it the way I was gonna do it, there's no joiner here across here.
Okay.
Okay.
One big long one. Yep. There's things to think about there.
The flaps are separate. The flaps are driven on this side and on this side.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so then you can adjust, and the flaps, actually, on the first one I'm going to do, the flaps will be outside of you'll be able to access them from the outside. so you can adjust them for, instead of tweaking them. And then it goes back to here. You can also then adjust it, but you don't have to adjust for twists. You want just to make sure that they stay. If you adjust here, you're gonna have to adjust the back to make sure that the
Right.
back stays,
That's
in
this
line.
issue, chasing
Yeah.
this, yeah.
Yeah. But that's the idea with this belt crank, is to be able to drive it that way, so that, I could probably drive it with a horn right here on each side. And then I could actually, if I wanted to, take and go a horn out on the inside of both of the, stop that, the inside of both of these booms on the first one, just to see how it works out.
I did,
I mean,
my vision, put one carbon fiber shaft from tip to tip and run it off
Yeah.
the outside.
Yeah.
Have all the flaps tied in one. The trick is you have to build them outside the airplane in a jig where they're perfectly true all the time.
Absolutely. And
But when you twist that carbon
Oh.
fiber tube, there's
Oh.
not going to be any give. It's going to run it all.
No, here's what you do. You don't need a jig. One piece, tip to tip, if you can get it. Even if you have to splice it in the middle. One piece flat, put your tube on there, get everything shaped and whatnot, then you just cut your notches for the booms.
That's
and
right. That's exactly right.
That way you don't even need a jig. All you need is a
That's
flat
right.
surface.
Flat surface.
but
And
what happens if you need to tweak the flaps?
You're screwed.
That's why I want to have the flaps separate from each other and drive them from, also driving them from stop that. Driving them from this range in this area kind of gets it closer to the center of mass of the flaps themselves. So it should also help in avoiding any twisting of the flaps.
There's a danger, but when you put that carbon fiber shaft on a piece of 1/4-inch balsa, grab each side and twist it. See how much it takes to do it.
Yeah.
It ain't going. They're not going to give much.
Here's
That's an
idea
interesting
for you.
concept, John. There's no doubt.
Here's an idea for you for tweaking the flaps. Run your carbon tube. Now, Radical RC sold some super lightweight 3/8 carbon tube. It was nice. And out of that carbon tube, I would stick 3/32 drill rod out, and the drill rod will bend, but yet stay stiff enough for flaps.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to look at it from several ways. It looks like this is probably the next build after the profile
That right there is worthy, in my opinion, John.
Yep.
Very worthy.
Joe, you are making my head swell and make me feel big. And
Well,
good.
And,
what do you see? What do you see that scares you? You got a 600-inch wing, a 240-inch tail. You got a 16 or 17-inch tail moment. Your center of thrust, the back engine is 7 inches from the center of the thrust. The front inch is going to be 10 like we normally used. What's the downside to any of that?
I don't see any, and especially electric. I could see it if I tried to stay with the IC. The
You
IC
can't
you
use
run into
IC.
a problem with the
IC.
IC. When you turn up, now you got the tank on this one is above,
That's right.
and this one is
Forget-
below it. So what's going to happen?
That's right.
This one's going to go rich.
Lay down. That one's going to speed up. I agree. But
Yep.
on electric, it's a no-brainer, man. I don't
Right.
see any downside to that. That's electric airplane 100%.
And to my way of thinking, it would be a prime candidate, at least to build a prototype, just to see if the numbers work out with pretty good. And I'm sure they will. I'm sure it'll fly right off the board. Make center of fuselage, and I know a guy who can help with the mounts.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
John, he's on you. John Miller, he is on you.
Well, okay, guys, I'm going to stop the share
Yeah,
because I don't
Fair
want to
enough.
be.
We'll go on to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of
But
which,
thank you for your comments. I appreciate them.
speaking of which, I need to probably go ahead and drop off and see a movie as a family. And in case you were wondering, that's my son who was coming in and looking in, just like, hey, what's going on? So he wants to see a movie before going to bed. So
Steve, where do you live?
On planet Earth.
Well, Are you in Indiana or Ohio
No,
or
no, Allen, Texas.
Allen, Tech? Oh, shoot, that's not too far away.
Yeah, that's why I was saying about
Yeah.
Doug and Steve Moon.
Yeah, I know Doug and Steve and Jake, and I know them well. Max, I
Yeah.
know the boys. I know them.
Yeah, flying right there in Hobby Park. They actually had a contest
Yeah.
yesterday.
They
I'm-
did. Yeah, that's right.
I was gonna go, but yeah, I don't really have anything that's contest worthy right now. I have an unproven plane that I haven't flown yet for its maiden, and
There's a
And-
lot of good flyers in Texas. I know
yes.
lots of them.
Yes, there are. And one that I've been trying to somehow get back in touch with, that I used to fly with all the time, was Bill Wilson.
I haven't heard of Bill in Colleen, how long? 10 years?
Yeah,
Long time.
I think
He may be drag racing again. Who knows? Bill
Yeah,
was
I-
one of them guys that could fly really good and build really good. And if you
Yep.
told him that can't be done, well, dang it, look out. He was going to make it work.
Yep. He
I know
helped,
Bill well.
he helped take me from being just a rank amateur, just kind of fun flying and that's it, to actually learning the pattern. Because he's the one who explained it to me. Like, look, the reason you're crashing so much is because you don't know what you're doing. If you actually just pick up like go with the pattern, you know what you're going to do every time.
Yeah, don't sugarcoat it for me. Just tell me like it is, right?
Well-
Bill was that guy. He didn't
Yeah.
sugarcoat nothing.
Yeah, and he was like, half my issues were, be halfway through a loop and then decide, I think we'll do something else, and then lose tension and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, if you figure out what you're going to do beforehand, you fly a pattern. It doesn't have to be the official pattern, but just a pattern of some sort. You know what's coming. You know what each maneuver is going to be, and you'll stop crashing
Bill-
so much.
Bill was a good stick. Good stick.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. I haven't heard from him in years.
I just looked. I don't have his number, but I'm sure Dale Gleason or somebody will have it. If you wanted to find it, it's available. Somebody will have it.
Oh, I'm sure it is, but I want to say he may have just kind of stepped away from control line.
And
So
he may quit contest stuff. He may still fly for fun and not do contests. There's more people fly for fun than there are contests by far.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My biggest issue is the field is about 40 minutes away, and I don't necessarily have anybody to fly with necessarily. But there's another one that's it's an RC field, RC club. They're like 15 minutes away, and I've reached out to them, and they have no problem with me flying there. So
Good deal.
You
Yeah,
got to
so I mean-
fly. You got to fly from. If you got to enjoy whatever you do. We went out today, Colleen and I and Angie and the boys' grandkids, and
yeah,
I think they flew five times a piece, and then we
oh,
shot
wow.
rubber band gliders for 2 hours. We had a great day.
Oh,
at the-
that sounds
still
like fun.
playing. It was great.
Yeah.
But you got it,
Thermal?
Wait,
yes, there was some of them. I thought, oh, we might lose that one, but it flew out. It was a good day. We didn't lose anything. We broke some stuff, but that's okay.
Hey, what the heck?
Naughty, Joe.
We broke some stuff, but it's all right. No, the whole hobby. If you ain't having fun, go play tiddlywinks. Find something else
That's
to do.
it. That's it.
Exactly. My biggest issue is around here in the Metroplex, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Seems like every city has an ordinance on the record for their parks. No flying of aircraft, no no RC, no tethered aircraft. You could even read a lot of them. Read the rules to say no kites allowed.
Where's Alan? Where's Joe Hildreth?
Hildreth is in
You're right,
Fairview.
Steve. It's-
Hildreth is in Fairview, Steve. How far is Fairview from you?
Gosh, that's a good question. Probably several hours. I
Oh, a
think.
long way. I can't
I
place where
think.
fun is.
We have so many little towns and cities here. I can't keep up with them all.
I don't either. But there's
Let's
a
see.
bunch of
Texas.
people flying Texas. Lots of
Oh, well,
folks.
shoot.
flying there.
Fairview, that's 9 minutes away from me.
There you go. Joe and Alice Hildreth live right there in Fairview, and he drives to Garland to fly quite a bit.
Yeah,
Need to
that's
hook
one.
up with Joe.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, where it's like 40 minutes away. And
Yes, it's a little ways.
Yeah.
But if you had,
It's a
if you
little
had
way.
somebody to meet, I know Doug and Steve and Matt Colin and Mike Scott and Phil and
Yeah.
Christopher
And
Gotti go quite a bit
All
to
those
Garland
guys are
to
great.
fly. So yeah, so there's people going and flying at Garland that make your worth your time to go when they go.
See
You
everybody
Hook up
Friday.
with them.
if I was to go fly with Gordon and the guys in the club, it's a 3-hour drive for me.
That's too far, but
oh, yeah.
40 minutes is doable if you stay for 4 or 5 hours, you know.
Yeah. My biggest
It's-
my biggest thing though right now is just, baby's coming. I can't just take off for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, it'll change one day. It'll be
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's why I'm looking at this RC club that's like 15 minutes away. That they have no issue with it if I want to fly there. I just gotta
Sure.
find somebody that I can fly with. So
That's right. Or electric is not a. There's 98 good things about electric, Steve. I can't tell you all
Yeah.
of them, but I'm an IC nitro guru. That's my deal. I want nitro, dude. But still, when you watch the worlds and you watch the electric airplanes fly,
Mhm.
I hate to admit it, but they're better, in my opinion.
For me, the only real reason I'm trying to go with electric, it's totally new territory to me. So I'm kind of learning as I go. I'm trying to save my ears, my hearing. My dad is better than half deaf, and it's from a lifetime of concerts, guns, model engines, football games, you name it. If it's loud, he's probably been around it.
If you're flying electric airplanes, there's a lot of places you'd go fly them that they don't even know you're there.
Yeah. We have all kinds of little baseball fields around here that are
Sure.
not even being used most of the time.
Go out there and fly and just don't ask. Just go fly till they chase you off. They're never going to know you're there.
Yeah, and just plead ignorance. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Of course, now that I've said it and it's on YouTube.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
Yes, yes. Well, that said, I got to take off. So
Good talking
Nice
to you, man.
meeting you,
good
Steve.
talking to y'all as well. And John, you can certainly reach me on Stunt Hangar. So,
Okay, I'll be getting in touch with you.
all right. And I'll see all y'all next time.
You
Take care,
bet.
Steve.
All right, y'all take care. Bye.
Bye. Well, Joe, you don't
Yes,
know
sir.
how good you made me feel there, bud.
I'm just telling you what I see, dude. I don't, there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. A lot of people think you got to do this, and this. There's some dumber from Oklahoma flies the heck out of a ringmaster.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You can, how to put it? I've got that Raven design I've got sitting back there. You can see it back here over my shoulder back there.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, that's got the same twin boom and elevator setup that little twin has. I designed them about the same time frame. That has no flaps. It was designed with no flaps. It was designed as a non-flap stunner. And there's something to be said if you got the right airfoil and stationary flaps that come off at about 7 degrees, so if your air's coming down, when you go up for a moment there, you've got 7 degrees of flap in the airflow. As your nose goes up and you're still carrying forward.
Sliding.
Yeah. And you've got some flap action going on there. And
Hey,
that's the way
when you just said it's 9 different ways to skin a cat, I wonder where that came from. Have you ever heard the expression "the whole 9 yards"? You know where that's from?
I know exactly where that came from.
B-17 waist gunner's machine gun belt is 9 yards long.
So is the World War I ones are 9 yards long too. Give it all to them. Yes, the flap thing. If the airplane's light enough, the flap gives lift in the turn, and during that lift you got drag. But if you got engine that pulls and you got excess more G's you pull, the more load you make, the more it wants to slow down, but the tighter you can turn if you can pull through it. But that humbug that Bill Nasband designed, that's got a unique looking turn. And I suspect that airplane behind you, John, has that look. The big tail just drives that wing around the corner. But if the wing's big enough that the lift doesn't go above the slide and the stall, well, it's going to be okay.
Well, that was built based on what I talked to Wild Bill about, you know.
There you go. See,
and what I talked to Gordy about on his combat airfoil, and what he found in running it with and without the fixed flap on the back end. He found that the ones with the fixed flap on the back end actually turned better and handled better than the ones without it.
I'll be darned. What's that? Is that airplane behind you? Is that a 17-inch tail or thereabouts?
That's actually smaller. That's a 25 sized airplane.
25. No, it looks like the tail's a good size elevator. I would think that elevator is 25% of the wing. I don't know that, but it's pretty big, looks like.
It's pretty big, but the wing is kind of a high aspect ratio.
6.5 or better?
Not that much, about 6 to 1.
That's okay. Nesband, what I read, he always thought that 6.5 is what I read. He thought was perfect for control line start was 6.5. And I don't know.
I'd have to take measurements because I designed that in 1998, you know.
And that airplane needs to be flown and looked at, showed off, and see what it'll do.
Well, that was one I screwed up on. I put the bell crank on the inboard side.
It's going to rock around more in maneuvers, I think, John.
Hey, you got that right.
See, I figured that out from 100 miles away.
Yeah, you got that right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to fishing line instead of the steel lines.
You know, Dennis is a proponent of that, and I can't argue that. I think the fishing line has merit. I haven't used it because I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, but I think there's some positive things for that. I'm sure of it.
Well, part of the thing that exacerbated and made the problem worse was that the steel lines, I had so much of a bow in it, you know, because the lines were too long. And so when I'd turn up, when this bow caught forward, I got a whip from the.
That's right. And you can't catch neutral nice because it takes too much time to get back to neutral, and the airplane does a rock.
Right. So I know I need to shorten the lines and lighten the lines. And that might be able to.
If you went to the Dennis's stuff at 60 foot instead of 62 or 4 or whatever it is, for me, I want to use the shortest lines that the airplane can fly at a speed I can handle and make shapes good. What we're flying, John, is called precision aerobatics.
Yep.
Not sloppy aerobatics, precision.
Yep. And I have finally made the full circle and come to the point where I think I agree with you on that. At one point in time, I wanted the longest lines I could have, so I had more room in the pattern to do, you know, and that. But that takes lots of horsepower. And it takes a lot of other things.
The lines are doing this all the time. When the lines are doing this, you can't get off and on to get what you want is good.
Hey, Joe. I got a bit of a question. When you were just saying about those lines, if they're too long, does that cause the plane to kind of, instead of go smooth, it kind of does a little bit of a wiggle?
At the back side, I think is where you're going to see that. When you start it, it's going to start. But when you get the turn going, you'll see the lines drag back behind the tail, and then the lines will sling back in front of the airplane and come back. If they're doing that, you can't have a direct hookup to catch neutral good enough, and you'll see them waller through the corner at the end of the turn, in my opinion.
That because I don't know
agree with you.
In flying, when I do it, I see this kind of bit of a wiggle like you're saying, but I don't know if it's the lines or me or something else. But
if
the lines need to be going right straight to that airplane, if they're swinging, I've had airplanes turn so hard the lines swing out like past the gear and come back.
Yep.
When they do that, you can't catch a precision corner. I can't. Maybe somebody can, but I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna watch for that next time. I'm flying it tomorrow, so I'm gonna keep an eye on that and see what.
You'll see the lines actually bowing, Stuart. Swinging
Yeah,
out and wiggling
Stuart,
around.
I mean,
Are
that
you
might be
using-
it. That may not be the problem, but
I don't know. It may not.
I'm learning, so it's stuff I gotta look at.
Stuart, are you using steel lines or are you in the,
No, I'm using Spectra.
okay,
It's
so,
a Fantrice twister I'm flying.
okay, well, the Spectra, it's so easy to tie up another set of lines. Try them at 60 foot.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Spectra at 60, steel at 58.
It's I think I've got 62s on it, I think.
To me, here's another thing that I can't prove this. You need to talk to somebody smarter than me. You're flying on a dome. When the dome's this big and you're flying 5.2, you got X amount of tension. When the dome's that big and you're flying 5.2, the tension's going to be less because
Yep.
you're covering that dome in less time.
You have to have more horsepower.
More horsepower, faster speeds, and a faster airplane won't turn sharper than a slow airplane.
Right.
But a slow airplane will stall if it's too. There's a magic number there, y'all. Look, I've flown that Ringmaster. I fly on them on 56.5 foot lines since 2007. I can tell you exactly when. And Bob Whiteley called one time and said, Joe, yeah, it's Bob Whiteley. Yeah, Bob. He says, hey, I want to fly your Ringmaster at the Ringmaster Roundup thing in Brodax. I said, dude, I hate to get beat by my own airplane. Oh, it'll be okay. I want to fly your airplane. So I let him fly it. We went out and flew it ahead of time, and I set the needle for him and flew it. And he says, the lines are about a foot long. I said, well, a kiss more nitro wouldn't hurt you, but them lines is 56.5 foot. He says, just put some more nitro in it, Joe. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Slightly new stuff. Don't kid yourself. Nitro makes line tension and don't make speed. It makes line tension without speed. I can't preach that enough. And I'm not an engineer.
Gordy-
I can't tell you, but it works, man.
Gordy had a plane that was powered by a Super Tiger 46. I forget which one it was. But he was at a meet and he ran out of stunt fuel, but he had some combat fuel at 30 or 32% or something like that, nitro. So he put that in there, started up and needled it. And it was in a deep 4-cycle, just growling. And that sucker took off and it never went into a 2-stroke.
Never.
It just growled as a pull, like, he says that was one of the best flights he ever had on that airplane.
I'm all about it, and I've preached it, but I'm hey, do what you want, but nitros, that's crack cocaine to model airplane engines, man. It makes them walk and talk.
Well, that's the effect they're getting with some of the electric motors that you saw at the Worlds.
That's correct.
They could program that in and they get that effect with horsepower.
That's right. Billy Warbridge one time said stunts hard. I think Billy was 100% right. It sounds easy. All you got to do is give it up or down or neutral. But man, it's way harder than that.
Have you ever seen a perfect golf game?
No,
18, score of 18?
no, it can't
You
be
ever seen a
done.
perfect stunt flight?
No.
Amazing, isn't it?
Everybody makes mistakes. At who covers them up the best? It's a great big cat box. Who shuffles around that sand the best and covers up the boo-boos? That's the ones that win. And there's some of them in America really good at it.
Yep. Well, that's the whole thing about aerobatics, PA in control line, is that there's never been a perfect stunt flight. I doubt there
No.
ever will be.
No, won't be.
And that the pursuit of the perfect flight is the same as the pursuit for the perfect golf game.
I like it. I mean, it's a challenge that you can't get there from here. We go to a contest and I'll fly fights. I say, oh, Joe, that was such a beautiful flight. And Colleen is so kind. She never tells me what I did wrong in front of everybody.
It's good to have your own coach, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. More than you know. If Colleen Gilbert tells you something, take it to the bank and draw interest on it. It does help.
Well, I'll say, like I say, it's every pilot should have a coach. If you
Sure makes the process better.
doesn't it though?
Yeah.
we had a guy here in the Salt Lake area, nice guy, Italian guy. And he wanted to be really good at precision airbags, and I've forgotten his name, I'm sorry. So I don't have to worry about mentioning it.
The guy that had the wife came to Tucson.
But
Antonio?
he flew a Super Tiger 60, one of Big Jim's designs, a pattern master design. And it was well built and it tracked well and did, looked like it was not a bad airplane. But when we got to fly, we flew at a grass field, but there was an enclosed field that had it was a football field, so they had the bleachers all around, so you couldn't see him. He'd go in there and practice all by himself. And he practiced and practiced and practiced. He wouldn't take any coaching from anybody. He knew what it was supposed to look like. He was sure. And by golly, he practiced it till he got every mistake down perfect. And he couldn't understand why he couldn't beat Gordon Delaney, which is tough to do anyway. Are you talking to Joe? Oh, you beat him?
No, I know the answer why he couldn't beat Gordy.
Oh, what's that, Joe?
Because he didn't fly good enough.
Well, he finally quit the hobby, and last I saw him living in San Francisco area, and had lost a lot of weight.
You talk about having the coach, it's like Len's been really good for me because I haven't been in it that long, and man, just to get started and get to where I am today, it's been
there's been a lot of people help me. I don't know if I told you, Colleen and I've spent 150 days in Richard Oliver's house. That may not be an exaggeration. And in 2010, we was down there getting ready to go to the Nats, and I thought I was really flying pretty good. Richard said, "Okay, Joe." And he went and got his camera and he got his tripod and set it up and says, "Go fly me 2 flights." So I flew 2 flights. Colleen and I flew 2 flights. We walked back at the shop and he had his VCR and he plugged it into the TV up on the wall and we watched the flight. And I said, "Well, it's still pretty good." He says, "Okay, Joe, here's a not magic marker, dry eraser." He says, "Go draw it on that screen." And going regular speed, I drawed it and it was okay. And he says, "Now I'll put it in slow motion and draw your intersections and your tops and your bottoms and your down lines. And let me tell you, in slow motion on a TV, if you don't think you can learn something, you need to go back to school."
Yeah.
It wasn't near as good as I thought it was. And I thought, oh my word. That was my first education in thinking, that, okay, say the camera might miscue something, but if you don't put it miscued twice in the same place, it's not right.
Yeah.
Richard Oliver taught me a lot.
To get one of those GoPros, and put her up here, and then fly the pattern and see how it comes out. Because when you fly it, you don't really know how you're really doing, like you're saying in a sense. So it's I got a video camera too, so I might use that. I'll see what happens.
It's for real, and it may miscue the down lines a little and stuff. But if your down line one's here and one's over here, and your up lines is one here and one's over here, one's here going this way, if they're not on top of each other, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Richard Oliver taught me a lot, y'all. I promise you, that boy taught me a lot.
One of the things, Joe, that I was thinking about this, the last flights, I remember the last flights that I've done, which was a few years ago. I look at it now and I don't think I was at 45 degrees on the tops. Come to think of it, I think most of my flights back then were on the small side.
I've been accused of that myself, partner. But if you go set your circle up in 1/8, like the FAI tells you, and the AMA is 1/8. That's how big stuff is. If you fly a 1/8 square, it ain't very tall, John. If you get a square, it's those little boards you put up at 1/8 circles. You fly a square on that, if you ain't careful, you'll fly cigar packages pretty quick upright because you want time to fly up to give you some breathing room to turn across the top. It
Yeah,
all happens pretty quick. When we did the team trials in Tulsa in 2017, we had all the circles up and the boards up from 2 to 4 feet, 1/8 inch deals, and I practiced on them. I think I got better that year than any of the year I ever flew because I had the boards up flying on them all 3 times a week. I was playing with that, and you
Yeah.
can see that board plain as day come by you, and
Joe.
you can't wait till you're 5. Those 5-foot corner, they're dreaming. There ain't no way. If you think you can fly a 5-foot corner is a 10-foot 180. I'll get the protractor out and I'll put a piece of plywood on it and I'll raise it to 10 feet and you can measure it. I'll raise it to 15 feet and measure it and I'll back it off the circle. When you take off, I'll drive it over the circle and you fly under it and do a 180-degree turn. There ain't no airplanes out there I know of that'll miss that plywood board at 15 feet high.
yeah.
A 5-foot corner is impossible with the stunt ship. Impossible.
When you were saying about the kids that were up there, what were they kind of?
Every 1/8 of a lap, you got a post sticking up, and you take a laser beam and you do it 4 feet off the center of the circle and lay laser beam on that pipe, and you put a 2x2x2 board on that pipe. So
Okay.
it's 4-foot bottom, 6-foot top, 2-foot wide each side, and ours were white. So when you fly the circle at 5 feet, you fly right through the middle of that board on every 1/8 of a lap. And then
Oh.
a square 8 should be done on 3 of those. Center one up, 1/8 down. Center up, 1/8 down.
Right.
It takes a really, really, really good airplane to do that, John Miller. Really good.
Well, what really a thing you have to really work. I've come to understand to learn where 45 degrees is when you're flying. I go.
That's
about
it right there.
Is that it there? I thought it'd be
That's
about
no,
there.
no, I think that's too high. Right there. That's close.
Okay.
That may be a little high yet.
Yeah,
From your armpit out.
I'm
So you're
pointing
talking-
right for my seated position. I'm pointing right to the corner between the ceiling and the wall.
You're close right there. You're close. You're close. But
Yeah,
if you go up the side judges and look at the sides of stuff, I think there's very few flying 45. I think there's lots of 60s.
you're
those
about,
boards-
you're less than 40 degrees there, Sparky.
I can't see Sparky. That's low. You're less than 45 a little. It's fun to, I've had people want me to coach them. They didn't think I was telling them the truth. I went to the 45 and filmed them at 45. I said, here it is, boys. You tell me how high you're flying. Well, I'm too little. Yeah, you're too little. The side view's for real. Dennis knows that. I guarantee his daddy got on this side view and looked
I
at
bet
that
he
when he was
did.
training.
See
I know
that
Dennis
smile?
is-
Yeah.
Look at him smile.
Yeah.
Archie knew. Big Art knew what to do, dude. I promise you.
Our nighttime
put a lot
moderator
of-
is here. Welcome, Dennis. It's my time to cut out.
Yeah,
Appreciate
sorry
you
I'm late,
watching.
Sparky. By the
What?
way, was that you building a foam wing?
Yep,
Holy mackerel.
I'm building a lumber wagon. Let's see here. We gotta go to studio. Let me close out of YouTube here.
Do we have anybody on YouTube?
I'll tell you here in a second. I don't have the setup Charles had, so I can't really tell.
What do you have? You have 2 monitors?
I got 2 monitors. I think he had 3, but you got to understand the monitors for me are way across the room, and I got to get up and go look.
Ah,
And let's see, we got 17 watchers, and let me hit the chats, and then we'll close out the YouTube. Turn it around this way. Okay. Lisa Wayne says, hi, Sparkman, light given, bell crank push rod set up for his plane. Wayne, okay. Are you still getting the balsa from Craig, mate? No, I'm not, well, I'm thinking I might join my first Zoom meeting. That was Steve. Thanks for coming, Steve. Annie says, happy Labor Day, Sparky. Annie, Jeff Chewy here, like given. We don't have a camera set up for Zoom yet. And Bryce gave us a thumbs up. And I forget what size engine is that again. This is a 60 on mine. Hi, John, from Annie. Why do you think my plane turns in at me on the outside loops? And that's been covered. Jeff wants to know if you have a contact info for Tom Dixon. It's all over Stunt Hangar. Go to the vendor's corner. And Brunt Williams said, I would try and test the shock resistance of total failure before putting a 3D printed handle on the market. Cool product, but liabilities on handles are scary. Brent Williams said, UV resistance is something to consider on 3D printed stuff as well. That got all the chats caught up.
Good show.
Okay, let's see here. I want to move this over here. I appreciate everybody watching on YouTube and all the support you give us. And we'll see you, tomorrow. Fair winds, tight lines. See ya. Okay, Zoom.